Well, we warmed up the stage, and now it's time to find out more about the deep tech scenery. And we are hopping on our digital imaginary plane, and we're going to travel around the world. And our next stop is actually very, very close, especially if you fly with Air Baltic. You're going to be there quite quickly. Of course, I'm talking about Estonia and the deep tech scene right there. I want to invite on the stage, he's the deep tech project lead at Startup Estonia. He's chewing deep tech for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And for some dessert, this man likes to order some cooperation between academia and industry. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome on the stage the winner of the poll game and your presenter, Vaido, Mikheim. Vaido, welcome.
Thank you.
I promise that wasn't a trick. We didn't agree with Vaido on who the winner is, so no questions about that.
It says something about my qualification that I know that Baby Shark is the most watched YouTube video.
All right, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Also, I've been hearing within the 2 days a bit about like the big topics and big themes covered, and also some of the geopolitical ones. To my best knowledge so far, for some reason, the biggest geopolitical rivalry in the mankind has not yet addressed the battle between Estonia and Latvia. So I'm here to fix it. Been working with Startup Estonia for 2 years, and something very strange has happened in 2024. Latvia finished before Estonia in Eurovision, and by quite a big margin. And the Latvian economy is doing better than Estonian economy, also by quite a significant margin. So what are we going to do about it in Estonia? Maybe not about Eurovision, but at least about the situation in economy. So that's what I hope was why I was invited here, not only just to talk about the Baby Shark and stuff. So Startup Estonia, and why this event here, the Deep Tech Atelier, is such a good fit, is that we try to design a future-proof ecosystem. And by providing the connections, the tools, and the data to our ecosystem actors and beyond. And a lot of it is present here as well at the Deep Tech Atelier. So it's a really good fit to kind of see how we are doing, how we are comparing to the other ecosystems, and what is going well, what is not going so well, and so on and so forth. And I don't know how it's in Latvia, but in many countries you hear, especially from the entrepreneurs, both startups, scale-ups, and also the mature companies, that the economy is no one's business these days. Well, the Estonian economy is definitely our business. And the question is that whether Startup Estonia can have a national level impact. And we have showcased this beautiful unicorn slide quite a lot, so we like to count together our unicorns. But to go a little bit deeper or behind this story, 2012, when Startup Estonia was established, we only had 2 unicorns, and we had 286 startups in Estonia. So that was 12 years back. And then we had like a super ambitious goal set, which people were calling that we are crazy, that Estonia should have 1,000 startups. Be that as I may, I will come back to that shortly. Also, there was this beautiful investments by private capital made into the companies. Let's again look at the starting point, the year 2012, massive, whopping 23 million made like from the private capital into Estonian startups. And throughout those 12 years where Startup Estonia has been in the existence, we have managed to increase. So let's not talk about the big pillar with 1.3 billion. The dear Bolt had slight mega rounds there, so that's a bit of an anomaly. But otherwise, we have been increasing both the number of startups and investments quite well. Going forward, should we continue that trend? Should we say that we want to have 8 times more startups than Estonia has today, that we should have 10,000 startups? Or something like that? I don't think so. But to give a kind of a status quo or the numbers where we are today, we do have roughly 1,500 startups. There is plenty of employees there, but not everybody in Estonia works in startups. If you go around the globe, somehow you get the perception that Estonia as a startup country, everybody works in startups. It's actually like every 25th or 35th person or something like that. So the majority is still not working in startups. But there is one number what I like to emphasize on this slide, and that's on the top right corner, this 12%. From the private sector, R&D expenditure, 12% is coming already from startups. So this is a very promising figure and showcases where the future of economy is going to go and where the future companies are going to go. And startups have a really prominent place there. And this is what we are trying to push forward with the deep tech, and we are really happy to see that this is echoing across the Nordics and across Europe. And we are trying really hard to push different measures, instruments on to increase this number even bigger. So, whoa, there is a big black box there. I promise you, there were no naked people in this picture. There used to be community members, and they are actually decent people doing some yoga exercises, but obviously the algorithms have kicked in and said that this is unsuitable for the viewers, whether online or here. But nonetheless, the community is always our first choice, that we try to go through the market actors. At Startup Estonia, we don't try to go into operational activities. We go there only as a last resort. So it starts with the people. And when it starts with the people, it eventually ends up in such messy picture, which is all the community actors across the board, whether they are in the startup mindset phase, whether they are in pre-startup scale-up phase, whether they are working with the mentoring or events or funding. And these are the people who were not visible, unfortunately, on the previous slide. And they are the people in the room, and they are important. They are not perfect, which I would like to stress. We have, at least in Estonia, this curse that we want everybody to be perfect, because otherwise we don't agree with another Estonian unless he's perfect and he exactly resonates with my ideas and my thoughts. But even then I don't like him because he's perfect and I'm not. So it's kind of a conundrum that we are facing. But the moral of the story is that people are important. The other really beneficial part of this slide, and this slide is actually roughly 5 years old. We should really update it. Maybe I will take it up as a summer task, is that it showcases the white spots on the ecosystem, where the services are not provided or where there might be too many services provided. Like, you know, nobody wants to give money to the startup mindset guys. Like, this is a big white box there. Nobody wants to go there. Whether the risk tolerance is low, whether there is just no funding available, and the other part is the scale-up part. So this here, it looks like there is plenty of funding available, but if you look how many of these funds are actually really investing big bucks into the scale-ups, then the numbers of the deals tend to decline. We asked our deep tech entrepreneurs, we have 149 of them in Estonia, the deep tech startups, and we did a survey last year. We got roughly 25% response rate. So a bit over 30 companies answered, and we asked about everything. Like, why did they want to found a deep tech startup? What was wrong with them? What was wrong with their business? Or what are they seeing their concerns or advantages? And as a no surprise, the capital and the funding is in #1 place. It's basically on the #1 place, on the #2 place, #3 as well. And then comes the rest of the issue. Something that is really striking is that the remark on the below here, that in Estonia, like 60% of deep tech startups have runway less than a year, which means that they are constantly fundraising. And it's a lot of sleepless nights, and if they see a lot of startups and events and meeting always with people. The second part here is access to talent, or the labor force. I don't personally like the title or word or definition talent too much. I would say that if it's a person who has a plus-minus solid work ethic, it's already good enough. And he can or she can read and calculate. But it is what it is. And then, of course, the regulations on the third place. And if you ask what are they going to do in this year, no surprise, it's fundraising. It's fundraising and sales. So this is the founder view. This is where the founders are struggling. This is where we should actually come in and be on the picture. So we mapped what is it that we have to offer. Again, messy slide, but I will kind of simplify it a little bit. So startup lifecycle phases and services for deep tech startups dedicated in Estonia. And also the left-hand pillars, the blue are humans, the orange is know-how, the gray is capital, the orange top is networks, and then there is the green one, which is environment. And we looked at where do the services fall? And you see that they are very heavily concentrated on the pre-seed and seed stage, that everybody wants to play there. Very, very few actors want to play on the research phase, which is unfortunately where a lot of deep tech funnel lives in the very early days. So we do have to go into the research councils, into academia, into institutes. We have to work a lot there. Again, I am not really up to date how the relationships between the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Ministry of Education Affairs are in Latvia or in some other countries, but somehow the education in Estonia and all the research side is the domain of Ministry of Educational Affairs. Entrepreneurship and startups are the domain of Ministry of Economic Affairs. So those two have to get along with each other. I will leave it up to your imagination how well the ministries are getting along on an everyday basis. In Estonia, actually, spoiler alert, it's not too bad. So this is the kind of picture that we are facing. And the question is, what do we do about it? Or what can we do about it? And the answer here is an unpleasant one, that if you ever dreamed about working in public sector or for the government, like I do in Startup Estonia, and we're thinking that this is an easy job and you get just to do one task and another task and then go to conferences, it's not like that at all. So basically what we are doing, we are running around, not like just like the squirrels in the wheel, but whatever animal you like, but we are just running around across all the pillars. So these red dots, they are all the pain points. They are happening simultaneously at different areas, whether it's the people, whether it's the founders, whether it's events, whether it's funding, whether it's regulations, somewhere something is all the time burning. And we can't take it just that, okay, let's fix funding, because if we just focus on funding, then everything else just burns down. So we have to run around and fix everything at once all the time. And this is a pretty schizophrenic job, but you know, maybe we're masochistic, we like it. So, conclusions, what to draw from this short talk of mine. The talent grab is real, and the demographics is often overlooked. We are less and less people at all time. The demographic trend is negative in the whole Western world. Our colleagues from visa programs were at Rio Web Summit a month ago, and they said that there used to be only Startup Estonia and Startup Portugal in Brazil looking for employees and founders. This year there were Sweden, Germany, US, Canada, Netherlands, Finland. Everybody is out there also competing to get the talent in. So the whole Western world is trying to get the talent into their countries. So the competition there is real. The funding is a never-ending pain. Doesn't matter whether you're organizing an event, you are trying to raise a fund as a startup, or you are trying to raise yourselves money as a startup program in the public sector. This should be somehow addressed. And the last one, which sometimes is a little bit invisible, or maybe it's again different in other countries, but at least in Estonia, as we see that everybody wants to play with the winners. If you're like, okay, you ask that, okay, why do you want this startup, or who do you want to in the program? Yeah, we want already a solid team, we want already perhaps a product market fit, or at least a problem solution fit. You should already have these boxes and everything covered and ticked. But the competition for those teams is fierce. And nobody really wants to play with the raw-cooked teams, especially the research teams that are coming from the universities. Like, yeah, but you don't have the business founder, and yeah, you have a market risk. Of course, you have every imaginable risk possible. You have market risk, technology risk, team risk, capital risk. You know, just imagine a risk, it exists in an early phase deep tech startup. So how do we increase the pain tolerance? And how do we say that, you know, deep tech is not safe and it's fine? We can burn some euros there, and you shouldn't not crucify us in the media for that. So that was my short status update from Estonia. Hopefully I saved you 2 minutes. If there is any question, then for the next 18 seconds you can ask that. Thanks.
Thank you, Vaido. That's all the time we have. Thank you very much. Right on time. I'm very happy.
I will go grab my shirt now, yes.
Yes, you can get your shirt. The winner of the poll game that we have, Vaido. Thank you, Vaido. Thank you.